You've been waiting all week for that Saturday show. Tune in, see what happened, let your troubles go. Work real hard, now it's time to take it slow. Kick back and relax with that Saturday show.
Good morning, Albuquerque, and welcome to That Saturday Show, brought to you by the Albuquerque Center for Peace and Justice. And here are your hosts, Jim Harvey and Chevonne Watson.
Good morning, Albuquerque. Welcome to That Saturday Show. Good morning, Chevonne.
Good morning. How are you?
Just fine. Glad you're here.
Glad to be here.
We're glad to be with you. This is an exciting day for us. It's our first show. And we're happy to be reaching out to you. And we have an exciting show for you today. But first, let's do a little introduction here. Chevonne, I'm going to start with you. Give our audience a little background information.
Well, I am Chevonne Watson, born and raised in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I currently attend the University of New Mexico with a double major of sociology and African American studies. I am a youth advocate for the community. I try my best to lead the upcoming generations the best I can. Yeah.
Great.
Well, how about you?
I'm glad to be in your company, I can tell you that much. Yes, indeed. So I'm Jim Harvey, and I'm the Executive Director of the Albuquerque Center for Peace and Justice. And I've been in New Mexico now for pretty close to 10 years. My background is public health, but in probably the last 15 years, I've spent a lot of time doing organizational development with a heavy focus on capacity building assistance for nonprofit organizations. Social justice is a central theme for me, and that's what brings us here today. We've got an exciting show for you this morning, and we want to give you a great start to your weekend. This is our inaugural show, as we said, and before we do anything else, let's introduce you to the Albuquerque Center for Peace and Justice.
Hi, good morning. It's a beautiful day in New Mexico. My name is Tom Dent. I'm on the Coordinating Council or the Board of the Albuquerque Center for Peace and Justice. The center is one of the top peace centers in the country, one of the most vibrant and most active. In 2005, Sally Alice Thompson paid off the mortgage on the Peace Center on this building right here. This beautiful building that was built in the 50s or late 40s. It used to be a grocery store and then a Baha'i temple, and it became ours in the community in 2005. In 202 Harvard, you can see our new storefront. You can see our sign up here. Our sign is a little bit old and faded. It needs to be replaced. And with your donations and your help, that can be possible. So Sally Alice Thompson and her husband Don also founded Veterans for Peace in 2005 or earlier, which is one of the longest standing groups at the Peace Center, with other groups such as Stop the War Machine and 350.org. The center has close to 60 groups and over 300 members. And as we start our tour, you can see our fully automatic storefront that's ADA compliant that we put in about 5 years ago. As we move over here, you can see some of the beautiful tiles that have been donated by our friends and supporters over the years. This mural over here was done by Native American artist and sponsored by the Leonard Peltier Defense Fund. And the Free Leonard Peltier Defense Fund has been a member of the Peace Center for a number of years. As we go up here, you can see some space that's dedicated for another mural. The restuccoing job has been donated, but we need your help in putting a nice, bright new mural up there. As we go all the way around here, You can see some of our windows that have been re-insulated. We've done a lot of environmental and sustainability improvements to the Peace Center. This is our southern wall that's never had a mural, but we have plans to make a beautiful social justice mural on this wall. As we go back here, this has been up here for a number of years, and we have plans to refurbish it or paint over it. Here's some more of our tiles. Here's one of our key volunteers going to work this morning. As we come down here, you're going to see our other door that was put in by the Albuquerque Door Company, along with grants, to make the Peace Center a lot more energy efficient. This is our water tank to collect as much water for reuse. This is our east wall that we plan on making a great social justice mural that's dedicated to all the unfortunate black people that have lost their lives to police forces via murders over the years. Now, as we go back into the Peace Center, we're going to do a tour of the inside. Okay, here's our main hallway. As we come in, here's our assembly hall and our stage, where we have lots of meetings, lectures, seminars, a number of films that we show here around the year. This is our kitchen. This is our old refrigerator that needs to be replaced and energy efficient, and that can happen with your support. We also want to put a energy saving dishwasher in here. We use our kitchen for catering events, for people to come in during the day and grab donated food, and as a staging area for our Saturday morning food distribution. Hi, we're standing on the east side of the Albuquerque Center for Peace and Justice on a beautiful autumn morning. I'm here with Molly Wilkie, who's a longtime volunteer for the Peace Center, who coordinates our Saturday morning food distribution. Molly, you want to tell us a little bit about the distribution and the history?
Sure, I'd like to. Well, this has been going on since I think we figured about 2008, and we work with Trinity House Catholic Worker, and we've been bringing food to this parking lot and having people come, and it's gone very well, and people come and they help and they share, and we provide a lot of food for people who don't otherwise have it. We also provide community, which is really nice, because the people who come, they don't just come for food, they come to talk. We serve them coffee, we make sure they have water, they have restroom facilities. So it's more than food, it's like a social outreach too. Now we're trying to get more into providing some clothes for people because it's winter. We've got the virus to deal with. So we're actually growing and expanding and becoming a larger program representing the Peace Center. And anybody's welcome to come and volunteer and donate clothes or food. Just give us a call at the Peace Center and we'd be glad to work with you on that. Thank you.
We appreciate our volunteers. We appreciate all the good work you do, Molly.
We appreciate the volunteers. Without them, we would be nothing.
Right now we're going into our executive offices. This is our executive director's chair. This is the desk for our volunteer and membership coordinator. Finally, we're going into our front office where a lot of stuff goes on. And once again, thanks for sticking with us on the tour. Remember, the Peace Center needs your help. We need donations and your support so we can improve what's going on and serve our community and the public better in the future. We're ending our tour by being on the roof of the Albuquerque Center for Peace and Justice. We have a lot of needs and have made a lot of sustainable and environmental improvements on our roof. What we're going to show you right now are one of the 6 solar silos that we have here for the front office, the executive office, and the assembly hall. A lot of times with the great sunshine in New Mexico, we don't even have to turn on the lights at all to have meetings and events down there. We just use natural solar energy. Speaking of natural solar energy, this is our first solar array that was built and put up here about 15 years ago. This is part of a joint project between the city and Northern Arizona University. The city and the state had a huge solar fair back then when there were plenty of tax credits and tax incentives that are all made possible by your generous donations and support. And we thank you very much for that.
Really proud of our building, and that's a great tour. We hope you appreciated it as well. Come by and visit us when you can. You'll enjoy yourself. Now, the center is dedicated to social justice, and because of our commitment to social justice, it's only fitting that what we do at this point is bring you some important news clips. So here we go. So the Congress met well into the morning on Wednesday in order to confirm the Electoral College votes for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris for president and vice president. This took as long as it did because a couple of misguided Trump senators decided to object to the votes from Arizona and Pennsylvania. At the end of the day, however, Biden prevailed. Now, there's a lot more to this story, but at the heart of it is the rebellion that Trump tried to spark when he sent his fascist, racist minions to storm the U.S. Capitol and sack the offices and intimidate members of Congress. It was an ugly and violent act of terrorism, although most people will try to call it something else. It was sedition and terror, plain and simple. There's a long list of people starting with Trump and his enablers who are guilty of sedition or trying to overthrow the government and other crimes they need to be held accountable for. Now, here's the kicker. How the hell did the Capitol Police and other law enforcement entities drop the ball and allow the terrorists to raid the building and ransack and destroy things when, looking back at last July when Black Lives Matter was at the Capitol, the soldiers and the police were out in force? Strange. I guess it's just another case of justice meaning just us white folks. On another note, and closer to home, kudos go out to the ACLU and some state lawmakers who are developing legislation that is intended to reform critical elements of policing in New Mexico. A huge item in the elimination will be the elimination of qualified immunity, which is a provision that protects police officers from being sued among other things, the use of deadly force and other violations of our civil rights. If this bill passes, maybe, just maybe, police officers will think twice before killing us. We can only hope, but don't go to sleep on this. There is so much more that needs to be done if we're ever going to be safe from the police. Stay tuned. Finally, what's going on with the Stephen Baca trial? This is a guy who shot a protester in the back during a demonstration when the Spanish conquistador statue of Oñate earlier this summer was being protested. No information about the trial and where things stand? Let's ask. And last, but certainly not least, Georgia is on our minds. Congratulations to Reverend Senator Raphael Warnock and Senator John Ossoff, the newly elected U.S. senators from Georgia. Not only has Georgia turned blue, but Reverend Warnock becomes the first African American to represent Georgia in the U.S. Senate. In my mind, He's the only black in the Senate now. Oh, I don't count the other guy. He's one of those Republicans, and you know, they don't mean us much good. That's it for news clips, and now let's move on.
Our first regular segment for That Saturday Show is going to be something we hope you not only enjoy, but also to look forward to each week to jumpstart your weekend. It's called The Good News. And here for our first installment is Hasani. Take it away, Hasani.
Thank you, Chevonne, and welcome to the premiere of Good News News. I'm your correspondent, Hasani Olujimi, and I'm Goo for Good News. The goal of this segment is to uplift and inspire you, the viewer, with nothing but good news. I want to wish you a happy and better new year. A better new year with a greater outlook and strength to continue to move forward. Speaking of moving forward, let's jump right into our first story. Effective January 1st, under a bill signed by Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham, New Mexico's statewide unemployment rate will be increasing from $9 to $10.50 an hour. The change is a result of a 2019 statute that gradually increases the amount to $12 an hour by the year 2023. The city of Santa Fe, they already have a base pay set at $12.10 an hour, and that includes part-time and temporary employees. Now, isn't that good news? Now, before I go into our next story, I want to give a big heartfelt thank you to all the nonprofit organizations that service our community and our family and our friends who find themselves in moments of crises with nowhere to turn. Suriname is doing just that. They are a nonprofit that house about 20 families a year. And recently, they received a grant of $50,000 from Bank of America. Now, that grant will help the current families that they serve and will also help kick off a capital campaign to increase their capacity and also build a second site on the west side of Albuquerque. Now, to learn more about Suriname, go to their website, surinameabq.org, or you can find them on Facebook. Now, isn't that good news? Turning to more good news, I'm sure many of you are familiar with the famous song, We Are the World. What a powerful and encouraging message that song has. Well, with more of that encouraging power, there are many of you who are moved by the spirit of compassion and humanity. And that compassion and humanity increases the good-heartedness of viewers just like yourself. And here's a story that is a good example of that. The Navajo Nation has benefited from donations after being one of the most hard-hit areas in New Mexico by COVID-19. People like you have given food, money, and protective equipment. Nearly $9 million have been raised for the Navajo Nation between two capital fundraising campaigns online. Many people who are donating have no personal ties to the Navajo Nation. And compelled volunteers, they're moving heaven and earth to give the Navajo Nation everything that they need. The Navajo Nation president, Jonathan Naz, has repeatedly expressed his appreciation for all the support. Now, isn't that good news? Our next story is sure to melt your heart, despite narcissistic orange people, how they love to portray themselves. Non-orange people do things like this in our next story. Now, we all know that small businesses are being forced to adapt to social restrictions due to COVID-19 shutdowns. The Colonial Steakhouse in Arkansas has been struggling to make ends meet, but thankfully, one of their faithful longtime customers gave them a much appreciated windfall. The longtime regular customer decided to leave a hefty tip after picking up their curbside order. The customer tipped the restaurant $1,200. Yes, that's right, you guessed it. That customer donated their entire stimulus check to the restaurant. Now, isn't that good news? Now, if that story didn't make you smile, I'm sure this next one will get the job done. Now, we've all grown up hearing the story of Jack and Jill. Jack and Jill went up the hill. Jack and Jill fetched a pail of water. But we also heard the horrible story of how Jack and Jill fell down the hill. Well, after all these many years, there's a new discovery to the story. You see, Jack and Jill did not fall down the hill. They took an Uber. Yes, right here on Good News News, we strongly believe that the best way to turn a frown upside down is to get goo-goo for good news. I look forward to seeing you on the next segment of Good News News right here on That Saturday Show. See you soon.
As the third day in January is Martin Luther King Day, it is important to know why we must celebrate it. Here I have a few guests to talk about the philosophy about Dr. King and the 30 Days of Nonviolence. If you guys could give me a brief introduction of yourselves.
Hi, I'm LaTanya. Yeah.
Hello everyone, my name is Esperanza. I'm native to New Mexico, born and raised. I am a community advocate and I'm very passionate about educating youth as well as adults and anyone I can about the importance of nonviolence.
My name is Malcolm Shelby. I am the founder of Dukes Up Guns Down. Also born and raised here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Doing community events and helping advocate for, nonviolent and nonviolent actions as well as peaceful conflict resolution.
And my name is Angel Garcia. I was born and raised in Los Angeles, California. I've been in Albuquerque 3 years now, and so I work for the city of Albuquerque for the Violence Intervention Program. And as a former gang member, I like using my past negative experience to foster positive futures for people here in our community.
Awesome. It's nice to meet you guys. And through Zoom, we have Mr. Devontae Kurt Watson. If you could introduce yourself and give us a brief introduction of yourself and why we celebrate the 30 Days of Nonviolence, as well as Martin Luther King Day.
Hello, my name is Devontae Kurt Watson, and I'm so glad to be here today. So great to be here today on the celebration and acknowledgement of Dr. Martin Luther King and his 6 principles of nonviolence. We invite everybody to join out and commit to the 30 Days of Nonviolence by joining the pledge and engaging in a nonviolent philosophy that will last for hopefully a lifetime by engaging in this 30 Days of Nonviolence. Thank you so much, team, and we look forward to this great discussion today.
Awesome. And Devontae, can you give us an introduction and a statement about the 30 Days of Nonviolence?
Yes, the 30 Days of Nonviolence is really designed around the community, and around the community it shall be moving forward. We have governmental agencies along with community partners to really join side in developing the 30 Days of Nonviolence. And what the 30 Days of Nonviolence is a commitment to joining alongside Dr. King's commitments of 6 principles of nonviolence, moving forward and developing principles and philosophies and a way of life during that 30 days to hopefully last a lifetime. Over the 30 days, there will be a pledge form to commit to the 30 Days of Nonviolence in Dr. King's 6 principles. There will be webinars in addition to community projects. And we invite the entire community to join alongside to reducing violence as an overall deterrent of health in the 30 Days of Nonviolence.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Devontae. And back to the panel, if you guys could explain why nonviolence is important to our day-to-day life and what does it mean to you?
I'll start. So as a former gang member, I've seen firsthand the destruction that violence causes, sad to say, but I've probably been to 100 funerals, and it's a sad thing because those people are never going to get to reach their full potential. It destroys our communities, you know. So to me, nonviolence, and I'll be honest with you, nonviolence is a fairly new concept for me as well. You know, I'm still transforming and changing my life. But nonviolence to me means having the strength to forgive, you know. Like, growing up, you always hear that you're a man, you know, you're not supposed to cry. So as men, we grow up aggressive as it is already, you know. Growing up as a man of color, we have that aggression within us. And then being oppressed doesn't help, it just gets us even more angry. So to better serve our communities, I think nonviolence is just put on goggles of love, you know, like be willing to talk it out. You know, there's no reason why I should kill my brother Malcolm here, you know, when we could talk about it, you know, like we all have families, we all have mothers, we all have kids. And so look, like, perfect example, imagine if I would have been killed back in Los Angeles, I would have never had the potential to grow into the person I am today. Just giving somebody the chance, talk it out, you know. That's what nonviolence means to me.
Awesome. Malcolm?
Nonviolence and what it means to me, I mean, growing up in this community, you know, we've seen a lot of things. We've grown up around a lot of things. There have been issues from the time that I was young, and even beforehand, you know, where even issues that happened years before I was born are still the cause of some of the actions that our police and our communities take to this day. So being able to take into an account and make and really understand what violence perpetuates and the constant action that it has to be taken, or the constant domino effect that happens after a violent incident, it really makes you understand and really realize that nonviolence, not only does it save somebody else's life or save your life, but you have the potential to save your child's life or your grandchild's life, or, you know, somewhere far down along the line, you may you have a very large effect or a momentous effect in stopping the momentum of a dangerous action. By stopping today or passing the fist, or, you know, not hurting somebody or not retaliating, you could potentially stop a war from happening. One action it has a butterfly effect down the line. So being nonviolent and taking that into consideration, it's about building a stronger community and a stronger world altogether.
Awesome. And for the both of you, being men of color, there's often many stereotypes of being too aggressive, being mean and angry and violent. How do you face those stereotypes and those stigmas?
I can start off with that. You know, facing a stereotype, there are reasons behind stereotypes. There are reasons that stereotypes exist. However, there are also ways in which you can, you know, tear down those stereotypes. Although I will say, sometimes a stereotypical interaction can be had whether you were trying to or not. There are times where you are frustrated or angry, and you are having a bad day, and so you go into the gas station to, you know, buy some gas or buy some candy or whatever you may be doing, and, you know, you put the candy on the counter, and you know what? It was done aggressively, or you did that out of aggression, you did that out of anger. So now the person inside the store thinks that you are an aggressive or angry person because of your race. You might be having a bad day. You know, communication as well as interaction with other individuals, not only of your race but of other races, and you know, really just community based interactions, I think really tear down some of those stereotypes. But at the same time, you're never going to take away a preconceived notion out of somebody's mind, because that is preconceived. So, you know, it's on you to make sure that you are understanding what preconceived notions you have and how you can address those, so that way you don't stereotype anybody else.
Yeah. And for me, there was a point in time in my life where I kind of knew what, like, the stereotypes. So that's what I would give them, you know. This is what you're expecting from me, so this is what you're gonna get. But now that I'm growing and my perspective is changing, I realize how damaging that was, like, for people like me, you know, people like us. But it's a growing process, you know. So now, empathy for me, whether you look like me or not, I try to put myself in your shoes, because that keeps me open-minded. Okay, now, well, let me think why this person is treating me like this. Maybe something happened to them, and I remind them of whatever it may be, you know. So that's a check for me. Like, let me be empathetic. Let me try to understand why, and then my reaction will be different as well, you know. So, I mean, if you get to know me now, I kind of look like a big teddy bear, and I am, you know, like, I'm a softie, and I'm trying to change. But, like, if people look at me, I'm heavily tattooed that's why I let my hair grow, because I'm tattooed from head to toe. So, yeah, like, they'll look at me and they'll be like, oh, a gang member, he's this, he's that. But if they really stop to talk to me, they'll see that's not the case, you know. Right. So, like he said, we all have preconceived notions, but I try to be empathetic so that I'm not also perpetrating stereotypes or adding to the problem, you know.
Right. And Angel, you said you grew up in Los Angeles,
yes,
correct? And in Los Angeles, there's 250 gangs, I believe.
Oh, there's more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. But these young men and men of color who just know about these lifestyles, they don't know anything else. They don't know how to change, and if they were, they're scared to. And seeing you brought up with that life to transforming into another and being nonviolent and being educated about these principles of Dr. King to say, what can you tell those young men?
So I was telling Malcolm when we were outside waiting, my perspective started changing in my early 20s when I went to prison. One of the prisoners pulled me to the side and told me, look around you. Who are you surrounded by? And I go, well, gang members. He goes, yeah, like in the streets, we wouldn't all be joking with each other. We wouldn't be eating with each other. We wouldn't be working out. We'd be killing each other. Right. He goes, so now, like, think about it. The whole concept is stupid. We're killing each other for streets that are never going to belong to us, and we just keep damaging our community, you know. So then I started thinking about it, and when I got out, my whole outlook on life was different, you know. But that's what I would say, you know, like, I'll tell youth, like, don't glorify those songs that you hear about selling drugs and killing people. Right. Most of those rappers have bachelor's and master's degrees, you know. That's why they're so lyrically, they're smart, you know. There's no retired gang members. There's no retired drug dealers, you know. There's no pension plans for, you know, like, you're either going to end up in prison or dead. Adopting this new lifestyle opens up the whole world to you, you know. Right. Like, you could go to school, educate yourself. You know, that same person in prison told another person that didn't want to go to school while we were in there, told him, man, go to school. The most dangerous person in this world is an educated minority. Right. So if we don't educate ourselves, we're never going to really know what's holding us down, what's holding us back. We start educating ourselves, we can start freeing ourselves from those revolving doors of recidivism, those chains that keep us down, you know?
Right. Right, thank you. Very empowering. Now, ladies, what does nonviolence mean to you, and how do you use it in your day-to-day life?
So for me, nonviolence is a way of life, definitely. I think when I was educated on the principles of Kingian nonviolence, it opened my eyes first to the issue that there is violence, right? Because I think we've normalized, as people of color, violence. Also, nonviolence to me is choosing to communicate, to understand, to negotiate, to see that people are not the evil or the bad day that they're having. You know, there's a story behind everyone, and we're all human, and I think that, you know, it's up to us to carry the love for one another and just to show it and exemplify it through nonviolence.
For me, I personally have grown up around a lot of people of color, Hispanic, Mexican, African American, just people of color everywhere around me. And I grew up to learn all these new things, and they really educated me onto what is going on in our world today. And nonviolence to me personally means that it's a choice. You have a choice to be violent and a choice to not be violent. And as a woman, and not only a woman of color, but a woman in general, you have to live in fear every day. To be afraid of something happening to you while walking in the street. We're just trying to encourage other people and other men and other women who want to be violent towards others to come out and be compassionate and have empathy for other people. And that's kind of what we're doing here today. And to me, that's one big thing of my life.
Right. Well, thank you so much. And Devontae, as an educator to the youth, why does nonviolence mean to you? Why is it so important to you?
Well, one, Dr. Martin Luther King taught about nonviolence over the course of his entire career. And over the course of his career, he has impressed upon a multitude of generations of how nonviolence is a courageous way of life, as one of his principles would say. What is it? It has impressed upon me taking the Kingian nonviolence training in Atlanta, Georgia at the King Center, really showed me to share how it is a way of life for courageous people and how to make a difference in the local community. That's what it has impressed upon me, is how each individual that is enlightened by the Kingian nonviolence philosophy can share in the local communities, wherever we represent our communities or wherever we reside, and how to make that an effective place and a salubrious community for everyone to thrive.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Devontae. And to the panel, as well as Devontae, how do we practice nonviolence to the people who are violent against us?
I think the first step would definitely be to information gather. I think assumptions are definitely a big thing that get a lot of us. You know, we have pride and ego, and we automatically jump to thinking that we're right. But I think personally, it's been a journey for me to use nonviolence in my life because it pertains to communication with everyone in our lives. And so, like I said, the first step is information gathering and negotiation. And so, yeah, I really think that, you know, if someone I think it depends on the type of violence that they're perpetuating onto you. So if it's physical violence, I feel like that's different because obviously your safety is first. However, if it's something that's escalating to get to violence, I feel like that's where we're able to educate people who are not aware of nonviolence and the principles and kind of go from there.
I agree with her to encourage yourself, to be encouraging to yourself first, and then gathering your information and educating everybody out there to know how to de-escalate situations. A great example is like today at the Capitol, all the rioting and all the looting that was happening there. There was a simple way to de-escalate that situation by communication, and we need to go out there and educate people to not be violent, but to go into your morals and really educate yourself of to what you should be and what you shouldn't.
Right.
So, for me, I agree with what Esperanza said. Like, it depends, because if somebody's trying to physically hurt you, I've been shot, I've been stabbed, I've been in prison riots, so my PTSD might act up, you know. But if we're just arguing, for me, I just have to remind myself that, like she said, checking my ego, not taking it there is not a weakness, you know. Like, just apologize, even if you're not wrong. Like, all right, hey, I'm sorry. Like, you know, it's not a sign of weakness. It's just de-escalation, you know. Like, there's no need to take it there if it doesn't have to go there, you know.
Right.
The thing I think we have to really realize and look at when it comes to, you know, how we deal with violence and violent interactions is, you know, our place within that interaction. Are we on the receiving end? Are we on the giving end of the interaction? Because, you know, depending on where you're at, your ego will put you, like, you know, like she said, with your ego, your pride will put you in a position to where, you know, you might be thinking that you are on the receiving end, but in all honesty, you are the one perpetuating the violence. You might be the one that's elevating your voice, or, you know, puffing out your chest, or doing those things that, you know, are going to perpetuate or kind of create that violence. So removal from the situation, you know, really analyzing what the root cause of whatever situation has escalated to become, as well as, you know, there are times where you do have to defend yourself.
Right.
And defense is different from offense. And so, you know, making sure that what you are doing is to kill the situation altogether, end any type of violence. You know, that's really the main focus. You have to, it's really a thought process and an internal switch that you have to be willing to not flip.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Malcolm. Devontae? Devontae, how do we practice nonviolence to those who are violent against us?
Well, one, as we saw in the demonstrations, according to you know, our sitting president, violence is something that is widespread. And when we talk about practicing violence as a way of life, it really means attracting and involving ourselves with individuals who have the pipeline and understanding of philosophy that is understanding of Dr. King's philosophy of human rights, Dr. King's philosophy of nonviolence. So when we talk about a way of life, it's really detouring ourselves and separating ourselves from the attractions that may be pleasant, attractions that may be in line with the chicness of reality, or with the trendiness of where we live. When we talk about violence, it's about separating ourselves with what may be right and what may be wrong in all forms, because we must understand first that violence comes in several forms. Yes, there is physical violence of what we have witnessed under the presidency of Donald Trump. Yes, there is the violence of verbal abuse. Yes, there is the violence of psychological abuse. And yes, there is the violence of economic abuse, and so on. So when we talk about violence, we must first identify it at the root, and then we must first secondly separate ourselves from violence at the root to make a way of lifestyle for everybody, and for make a way of lifestyle separating ourselves from that what presents itself as evil. And that's what we must root at its cause, is the root of evilness, and which detours violence. And violence, and we know the outcomes. Violence means 75 cents to the dollar earned of women. Violence means earned to the killing of black men who are unarmed at the killing of an officer. Violence means so on in so many cases. And what we can see is that violence has taken on many forms. And when we talk about violence as being a way of life, it means separating ourselves from the root of violence and the root of evil at its core.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Devontae. Very empowering. And yes, I do agree. Not only there's physical violence, there's emotional abuse, there's verbal abuse. I wouldn't say that I am a victim of those two, but I am a survivor. And it's good to acknowledge and have these conversations that don't want to be talked about. So thank you so much. And thank you all for coming today. I appreciate every single one of you. Yeah, thank you so much.
We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Great job.
Awesome. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
So Devontae, this looks like it's going to be a great campaign. And I'm telling you, we could use some nonviolence in this environment we're living in today. But there's just so much that our young people in particular are going to bring forward to us. And so I congratulate you on bringing us together to make this event happen. 30 days of nonviolence. And maybe that 30 days will turn into another 30 days and another 30 days, because we need that. We need that peace. That's what the Peace and Justice Center's been working on for the last 37 years, and we want to continue. And we can do that with the help of campaigns like yours. So congratulations on an incredible program, and we just look forward to just so many exciting workshops and webinars and seminars as we go along. You have any closing remarks that you want to share with us?
Absolutely. What Dr. King said is a day on and not a day off. And yesterday, in light of what we have seen in our last presidential administration, it was a dark day. But what Dr. King says is, in our darkest days, we shall see the stars. And oh, what a day it is to see the stars. Oh, what a night it is to see the stars shine. And we are looking forward to those nuggets cast upon our community, taught by our fabulous facilitators, and to encourage and impress upon the community that nonviolence is a definite way of life. And through that, we shall see the stars. And I believe and I am encouraged that those stars are you that are watching, are you that are tuned in here today, that are watching here today, that are passionate about Dr. King's philosophies and are passionate about nonviolence. And we encourage you and we look forward to seeing you at the Days of Nonviolence. Please go to www.cabqnv.com. That is again www.cabqnv.com. And we look forward to seeing you in community and look forward to seeing you in community partnership.
It seems like I could look forward to catching you in a pulpit, Devontae. You're on fire, and I just love that. Love it. Chevonne, thank you so much for bringing together this incredible panel.
But I'm a preacher.
All right. I thank you, Chevonne, for bringing this incredible panel together, and we really appreciate the young people for all of their insightful comments. We're wrapping up our first segment, our very first episode, and with that said, we just want to let you know that in the coming weeks, we're going to be bringing you artists. We're going to be bringing activists to you. We're going to be bringing you updates on COVID-19. There's a lot of information that we're out here to share. And above all, we're going to keep bringing you good news, bringing you things that make you feel good. And so until next week, we thank you. Come back and see us in a week, and good day.
Until the next time, it's time to say goodbye. When you out here in the streets, keep it real, 505. We love everybody, we just want to let you know. Thanks for tuning in to That Saturday Show.
from his way here in Harlem. I can hear his echoes clear. Oh, no, 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 you can't keep me away from where I was born. I was baptized by my daddy's horn. No, 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 you can't keep me away from where I was born. I was baptized by the jazz man's horn. Oh, I found out on my way through Harlem. Marvin Gaye, he used to play what's going on right over there. I sure could use some of those blues from Langston Hughes. Hey, there goes that A train. Hey, there goes that A train through Harlem. Hey, there goes that A train. Hey, there goes that A